Alright, so we are back in Indiana Jones. We're at 4K resolution with the 5070 Ti. We got everything set to low settings. Got it paired with the 265K to give you kind of a real world example without the advantage of 3D V-cache. So right now we are at about 92 FPS on low settings, just DLAA. And we're in the Vatican, so I'm going to run around here, and then I'll probably go back to the beginning to get another analysis with the jungle. So right here, we are at 82, 83 FPS, and still looking just fine. This is going to run pretty well all the way up to maybe medium before we start to have to do some upscaling, I believe. So what I'm going to do now is just come into here and kick it over to medium. Going to have to do a restart. This game really wants to restart every time you do anything. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll be right back. All right, so right here at medium, let's just go ahead and double check everything. Go back to video, and we are still at 4K, of course. Right down here, we've got everything set to medium. I'm not doing any sort of ray tracing, path tracing at the moment. Everything is just still DLAA, no upscaling. Let's run through here, and just to confirm, we are on the brand new January, I believe it was the 27th. There was an NVIDIA driver update. I think it ends in 86. I'll double check that and put it on the screen here if I'm wrong. But if I'm not wrong, I think it ends in .86. So we're checking that out today. So right here in the Vatican area, just this courtyard, we are looking about 77, 78. This area is pretty good to test in just due to the NPCs. But let's go ahead and get through a little bit different area over here. So let's go back inside, see what it kind of does on the interior. It should be a little bit better. All right, so let's come through here. So 86 FPS here, and you know, again, it's going to drop down a little bit more once we go inside or outside. So that's pretty normal. But yeah, let's just keep on going through here and just kind of check out everything in a calm way. All right, so let's see what we need to do here. If we'll go up to high. So this is going to be high, and then we'll keep going up. Let me do a restart, and I'll be right back. All right, so here we are at high. Need to avoid that guy. He kind of knows that I'm undercover. So let's just keep on rolling through it. 75 FPS here at medium. Still looks fine. You know, nothing to warrant any sort of upscaling just yet. The door is locked. All right, so yeah, we are looking pretty good here. 80 FPS. Let's go up here and check this out just for a little bit, just to get a little bit more scenery. All right, so yeah, we're looking about 82 right here, 81. All right, so let's just keep going. No need to upscale at the moment. Everything still looks really good. Let's go up that very next level. So go to video and come down here, and let's go up to ultra. Need to do another restart. I'll be right back. All right, so here we are back in it. We are on ultra, so let's double check everything. Right here, come down here, and we are on the ultra graphics quality preset. Still no upscaling and no frame generation. And no path tracing. That's going to be kind of where it starts to, you know, get hit pretty hard. These presets though are very incremental. There's not a huge performance difference between all of them, but you know, we're going to test them out regardless here. So right here at the Vatican open area, let's start paying attention to our PCL. That is that second number in the latency section. And that first number is just your render latency. That's how long it takes the frame to get prepared and ready. And then that second one is PCL. That's more of an overall system latency. It stands for post-compute latency, so that one's always going to be a little bit higher. But under 50 on that second number is a good thing. Anytime you're on mouse and keyboard, I feel like 50 milliseconds and less is a really good response time. All right, so we're looking fine here. Nothing to really worry too much about as far as performance goes. I'm going to go ahead and jump up to that very next level, though. So we're going to go back to video and come down here and go up to very ultra. And guess what? I have to restart. Surprise, surprise. So I'll do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so here we are at very ultra. These names are just, they kill me. It's like very ultra. What is very ultra besides ultra? You know, it's kind of weird. But yeah, we're just going to run down here. I'm just kind of running around. There's no real plan that I have right now. There's the boxing ring. Can't go in there yet. But yeah, we are looking like about 82 FPS here. And still no major performance issues. Of course, we do not have ray tracing. And this is running really, really well at 4K without the need to do any upscaling right now. We're on preset K. It's doing a really good job for us. So let's just go on up to Supreme. And surprise again, I have to restart. Man, this game is just painful sometimes to test. But If you appreciate this, drop me a like. I would really appreciate that. So I'm going to restart and I'll be right back. All right, let's go this way this time. So we are on the very max settings with no ray tracing, no path tracing, and apparently it's just going to run fine if you don't want to do any sort of upscaling or anything like that. Then you can absolutely run it on the max settings at 4K, no problem at all. Runs really well. Once you start to include ray tracing, it's going to start getting a little bit harder to run. So I'm not going to start any major story element right now. I'm just going to go this way here. I think things pop off pretty soon, so I don't want to get any kind of like, let's see if I can go ahead and grab some items here. I'm actually playing this game right now, so this is just kind of where I'm at. I haven't played it a whole lot yet, but this is kind of where I decided to start testing at. But yeah, right here, 75, 76 FPS. So all right, so let's just go around here and try not to be noticed too easily here. So let me go ahead and get this map. Sweet. All right, so where are we? Let me go this way. Sweet. Okay, so let's get out of this map view. All right, how do I put it up? Let's see. Close. There we go. All right, so 86 FPS here. So let's go ahead and start messing with a little bit higher settings, which would come in the form of this path tracing here. So right now, path tracing is off. So let's just go ahead and go up to medium here. Huge performance hit. Just going to medium is like dropping an anchor out of the window. So right here, as you can see, we are at 24 FPS from like 80. So path tracing is extremely intensive in this title. So if you want to do that, this is where upscaling and frame generation is going to really come into play. So let's go over here and just do a little bit of upscaling because we're totally going to need it. All right, so right here, let's go down here. Let's see, where is the upscaling setting? Because I'm not fully, okay, there it is. All right, so we need to go this way to get to quality. Quality is not going to do it. I just want to see. That gives us a really bad experience here. Man, this is running like absolute garbage. All right, so yeah, we are at 127 milliseconds of latency on our PCL and a whopping 27 FPS. So let's just go ahead and jump up to the very next level. Not to make this extremely long for no reason, but it runs fine until you turn on the that path tracing. I mean, it just really suffers. Let's go ahead and jump back into it here and just see what where we're at. Give it some time because it should have more performance than 5 FPS. Something is definitely not right. Let me come in here and see why we're getting 4 FPS. Good Lord. All right, let's go into here. All right. Man, this is like really, really painful. Look at this mouse. I can't even like use it. All right, go into video. Let's come into here and let's go down. Let's see. All right, so all that looks good. All that's fine. Nothing too crazy here. I just don't, it does not make any sense that I went to the next level up and the performance took a hit. So I'm just kind of investigating what we got going on here. All right, let's get down here. If I can actually get to it. Oh man, this is painful. All right, might just have to might have to do some things here. Okay, let's see. Upscaling DLSS, yes. Okay, balance is not working. I'm gonna restart just to make sure that's not it and come back because we should get way more than 5 FPS. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. All right, so a restart makes a lot more sense. So it seems to be like that was the issue. So I will be restarting even though it does not prompt me to. It seems like it really wants to restart after you change basically any setting in this game. All right, so let's just keep on running through here. 29 FPS is quite dismal. So yeah, our 1% lows are 9 FPS. This is quite a joke. So let's come in here and go up to, of course, we've got some things we can play with here. Let's go up to performance. Gonna probably have to go ultra performance. I'm not gonna lie. All right, yeah, so anytime you switch, it seems to have a major issue. So you have to switch it, restart, and then come back. So let me do that now. Oh man, this is painful. All right, come down here, get to quit. All right, so after restarting, this is much better. All right, so performance gives you about 56 FPS. So we are rendering from 1080p. So right here, 1% lows are a lot more acceptable. 44 FPS does provide a little bit more smoother traversal experience, and 50 FPS is all right. I mean, you could maybe go up to ultra performance, would probably be what I would do. So I'm going to do that now. Of course, I will restart to make sure everything is good. I'm trying to just get through the Vatican because I really want to go back to the jungle and try that with some higher settings as well. Probably won't be as detailed there because we can kind of see how it runs in the Vatican, and this is typically a little harder to run anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and kick over to that very next level of upscaling, just so we can have over 60 most of the time. That's kind of what I'm going for here. And then we'll of course increase our path tracing to see what we can do there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a restart and then be right back. All right, so I have restarted and we are on Ultra Performance preset L. So this is the new DLSS 4.5. Looks extremely good. We're upscaling right now from 720p and we have a little bit of path tracing on, definitely not maxing it out by any means, but this is kind of where you might want to look at potentially going to a 1440p experience, if you wanted to go much higher on your path tracing. But we're going to check it out just to see, what you can do with some frame generation as well in there. So right here, preset L is delivering a very good experience, and we are not overriding our ray reconstruction. It is, not being utilized right now, which is the only way that we can stay on 4.5. Once you turn that on, it goes back to preset D, which is a while ago. So we're just going to keep going through here and see what all we can expect. All right, so at 84 FPS, it makes me feel pretty confident we might be able to go up maybe one more on our path tracing just to see, kind of what that delivers. So high does the following here. It still leaves ray trace indirect illumination off, as well as ray traced hair, which I don't know if that's that big of a deal, honestly, but yeah, just kind of running through what this exactly does. We're going to leave it on ultra performance. Going to go ahead and resume. All right, and I'm going to do a restart and come right back just to make sure that everything's kosher and good to go. So I'll be right back after that, and then we'll see you soon. All right, so after that restart on ultra performance on 4K resolution, we are still holding on pretty well to a plus 60 experience, which in my opinion for this game is fine. And we are looking about 74 FPS here. With that second level of path tracing enabled. So right here, this is a good level that we can maybe look at one more, jump up one more on our path tracing and see what all we can expect as far as this area of the Vatican goes. Of course, we'll do the jungle after this, so be sure you keep watching because we're going to cover this area and then another area. So I've started to kind of consider doing two areas in my test just to give you a little bit better picture. All right, so let's go over to the next level of path tracing here. Let's come down here. All right, so this would be all the way out. This is full path tracing. Everything is to the max other than the sun ray trace shadows right here. I don't want to do this because it enables ray reconstruction. So that will break the model, so we have to avoid that for now. You've got stuff like ray traced hair. This requires ray reconstruction as well. So we need to avoid those. All right, so ray reconstruction, that stays off. Everything's good up to now. So I'm going to do a quick restart and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have restarted and we are right under 60 and our PCL is right around 55, 53 milliseconds. It starts off a little high just because it doesn't have the frames yet. You got to give it some time to calculate those frames. But yeah, right here we are at about 55, 57 FPS. And as far as 1% lows go, we are about 46 FPS. So right here, I think doing some frame generation would smooth it out quite a bit because you have ideal latency for frame generation. Anything around 50 milliseconds is generally fine, and anything close enough to 60, like you're seeing here, is generally fine as well to justify some some ray trace or not ray tracing, some frame generation. Anytime the dialogue pops up, my brain wants to get confused and get all like tripping over my words and stuff. Oh, where am I at here? I've wound up in like a completely different area than what I've wanted to do. So let me get out of here. All right, so yeah, let's go to that frame generation and see what we can expect with kind of everything maxed out as far as utilizing this new preset goes. Frame generation, let's see, go ahead and turn that to 2x. Let's see what that does for us. So frame generation needs to be restarted, it seems, because it is not doing a thing here. Let me double check, make sure everything applied. I just want to make sure for sure that I am doing the right thing here. Okay, so it looks like we need to do a restart, and I'll do that and be right back. All right, so after a restart, we are back in the area that we were in before. So we're at 72 FPS. 1% lows are not looking that great. 32 starts to feel a bit choppy. Really 1% lows around 40 and up, 45 is preferable. That gets rid of the obviousness of frame generation to me. So even though you see 70 FPS, the way you're getting 70 FPS is still a choppy feeling. So just to be clear, I disagree a lot with how they market frame generation. I think it has a really good appeal if you are under a certain amount of latency and at a certain amount of, standard 1% low. But 1% low of 27 FPS with frame gen just slapped on top of it does not really feel that good, even though it says you're at 67 FPS. So you can really start to feel it break down right around here. So what I want to do is just probably come in here and see what we can do as far as doing a little bit of additional help for it. So we need to probably consider, we could go down here, but really the best thing to do is just to drop your ray tracing down one, because that's going to give you a lot more performance than sacrificing a lot of the detail from those normal settings up there at the top. So if I do this, that gives you a nice little bump on your 1% lows up to 64. So that is way better. So this is probably how I would play it based on what I'm seeing in the Vatican. This feels good enough to do frame generation, which is what you want, and your 1% lows are around 60. So right here you're looking pretty good as far as that goes. So I'm just going to double check everything here, because 1% lows at 60, but not the frame gen. Let me do a restart and I'll be right back. All right, so that looks like a restart was kind of what it needed. So right here, it brings us up to about 80 FPS. 1% lows are still around 35 though. So it looks to me like what we were getting back there is not super accurate, because if I come in here, I swear this game just has stuff that makes no sense about it sometimes. If I go into here, Ultra Performance 2X, which is what we were on, and then I come into here and path tracing, ray tracing is on high. So if I go back to medium and then back to high, it gives you your performance back. It's just a weird thing that it does. So keep that in mind. If you're seeing stuff that doesn't quite look right, if you've got a similar overlay like this, if you're seeing something that doesn't quite look right, you have to go back one, then forward one, and then it kind of like gets rid of the bug or whatever. But yeah, this makes a lot more sense to me with the 2x frame gen that we have. 57 FPS with 77 on our real time. So everything looks good. Our VRAM shared is right around 1.1 gigs. That's never going to be 0. Using about 15. So that A is the allocation, and then the VRAM U is of course, the used VRAM, and then that middle one there is the shared VRAM, which is indicated with just spillover. All right, that's what I would consider spillover. Again, that's never 0, so take that in consideration. It's never going to be dead 0, so it has to communicate somewhat with the system RAM. So that's all you're seeing there, but everything does look okay. It's running really well. 2x frame gen is doing a pretty good job for us here without increasing latency too much. Let's go up to a 3x and see what that does for our latency. All right, let's go ahead and resume. And let's see what we can expect here. Let me jump down here. Again, it's doing that weird thing, I think, where you have to like go back one, then forward one. So let me see if that helps. I might need to do a restart though. Let's see. I'm doing it this way here. I know it's a little painful, but I want you guys to know weirdnesses that are in these games, because there are a lot of them. Looks like I need to do a restart. I just want to double check. So I'll do that and be right back. All right, so that's more like it. Looks like a restart was what fixed it. If this game does not tell you to restart and it doesn't look right, just restart. It's got some issues. So right here, we are looking still really good, 170 FPS. That 1% low being at 50 FPS is definitely making it feel a lot smoother than what you would typically expect when it was like way down in like high 20s, 30s. That felt very choppy despite, 80, 90 FPS at the time. So this is probably how I would play it here. With just whatever frame gen you wanted to use. Now, whenever you use frame gen, you're going to increase latency a little bit. So I only use the frame gen that I need and the upscaling that I need. So right here, it's definitely justified to use some frame gen on top of the preset L model on ultra performance. So right down here, if I go up to 4x, it's probably not going to do anything. I just want to make sure that everyone knows what to expect here. Yeah, it's doing something where it like kicks it back to like 2x or something like that. Let me go and restart, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have played with this a good bit on 4x, and it does not seem that 4x is applying for whatever reason. I've restarted a few times. It's still not cooperating. So what I would probably do is just, I guess, ignore 4x. I'm not sure why it's not applying. Because if I go back to 3x, nothing really changes. And that seems to be kind of like, maybe it's some sort of weird engine limit. I'm not really sure, or something to do with the funkiness of all these different presets. But see, 3x is 70-ish FPS. I mean, going to 4x should be better. And right here at 3x, we were getting much higher frames as well. So there's definitely something going on with this game when it comes to all these different presets. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go do a fresh restart with everything reapplied and see what we get with 3x or with 4x, and then come back into it. Because our 1% lows are okay. We're just not getting the frame generation. And I think what it has something to do with is running out of VRAM. Because if you run out of VRAM, frame generation will say it's doing stuff, and it just isn't. So that could be what's going on here. I just want to do a fresh restart to make sure that we absolutely know. Yep, there it is. Out of VRAM. Okay, so that confirms it. That's what that is. So I'm going to come into here, do a fresh restart, go to 4x, then we'll be right back. All right, so we're back in it now, and I just wanted to double check. I've turned off ray tracing or path tracing completely, and I'm on 2x frame gen. I mean, I'm on no frame gen. So we're just at 1x straight frames here. So if I keep going up, I just want to confirm that it's just from running out of VRAM, which is insane to me on 16 gigs. As you can see here, full ray tracing is off. So I believe the frame generation has just basically stopped generating frames due to being out of VRAM. So that gives us a nice jump there. So VRAM is work, or the frame generation has enough VRAM to work right now. So let's go up again. Again, I'm just quickly going through just to confirm that it's not a bug. It's just a VRAM limitation right here. All right, so there we go. All right, so that gave us 3x. Perfect. All right, so let's come into here. And I'm assuming that that's why it was working, is because whenever I would restart, it would free up a little bit of VRAM. And then as I ran around and did stuff, that VRAM got filled up, and then it stopped working by the time I would get up into the frame generation portions. So at 4x, so okay, so it's VRAM. That's what that's all about. So sorry to drag you all through my experiment there, but
He's on to me.
the VRAM itself has been depleted. So whenever I was going from 3x to 4x, it just wasn't doing anything. Nothing wrong with the game. You have plenty of frames. So as you can see, you can definitely do stuff, but you're going to run out of 16 gigs of VRAM in this title if you use frame generation 3x and up. So with that path tracing. So let's jump over to the jungle. I'll keep everything kind of the same. I just want to see kind of comparatively how it might run. So I'll do that save, and I'll be right back. All right, so here we are straight from the Vatican, back in the beginning here. No ray tracing or path tracing. So right here, we're in the jungle, different environment completely. Running about the same with that frame generation enabled without path tracing. So what I'm going to do here is just leave it on Supreme, just for everyone's mental stability. Leave it on ultra performance. That's kind of where we needed to be anyway. Let's turn this off, kind of get a base rate here. So where are we at baseline with no path tracing? We're at 119, 120 FPS here, and looking good as far as the GPU usage is all good and all that stuff. All right, so yeah, we're good. So let's go to a little bit of upscale, or a little bit of path tracing. I'm going to leave it on ultra performance. That's just what you got to do on this title to run it at 4K well. All right, so let's go to 120 FPS. all this kind of stuff. Estimated VRAM requirements exceed available video memory. We can adjust the texture pool to make that a little better. All right, so let's come over here and find the texture pool and see if we can help that out a little bit, because I would like to show you guys what it looks like without running out of VRAM. All right, so here we are. We're going to kick this texture pool size down. It's going to do a restart. So I'm going to go medium. So just medium texture pool. So hopefully we'll be able to do some frame generation without running out of VRAM this time. So I'm going to do a restart and I'll be right back. All right, so we have the texture pool on medium, but everything else is set to supreme. So that should give us a lot more VRAM to play with when it comes to frame generation and stuff like that. So right here, everything's just the same as it was. We don't have the texture pool maxed out on our, eating up a bunch of VRAM for the textures. So that's good. So at medium ray tracing with no frame generation at all. So we don't have any frame generation. We're looking pretty good. We're at about 75 FPS here. 1% lows, about 63 FPS. So this explains everything that we saw at the Vatican. You just got to drop that texture pool size down to something, that is not insane, and you'll be okay. So I'm going to jump through this cutscene. I'll be right back. All right, so we are through the cutscene. All right, so with that texture pool set to medium, we are about 69, 70 FPS here. So let's jump over to the video and come down here and let's crank up a little bit more of our ray tracing, path tracing, whatever you want to call it here. So path tracing set to high. All right, so that still gives us about 60 FPS with a latency of about 45 milliseconds. So all in all, this looks very promising. You just have to reduce your texture pool size. And you're going to see some pop in on your textures, but for a smoother experience, I think it's well worth it. So let's jump over here, and what does this do? I don't want to start anything. All right, so we have cut through the cutscene there. I don't want to spoil anything. So right here, we are looking pretty good. 65 FPS, 69, 70. So all this looks really, really great, actually. So let's come in here and go all the way up to that very next level of path tracing. So this is full ray tracing. So path tracing, ray tracing, everything. And we are at 62 FPS. So right here, man, you could kick on some frame generation and do okay. Go ahead and lift this tree. All right, everybody needs to come under here. So we might check out potentially going up to performance, maybe. The only bummer is on this new preset, you do not have ray reconstruction without breaking that model. I'm gonna go ahead and skip this. All right, yeah, I need to crack my whip. All right, go ahead. Yeah, skip all that. All right, yeah. I don't like to ruin the story. All right, so right here at 60 FPS, we're okay. So we have plenty of VRAM, as you can see. We're at VRAM is under 13 gigs. So we should be fine to just go ahead and come down here and go up on our frame generation. So right here, we're going to go to 2x. So 2x frame gen gives you about 96 FPS. Preset L is doing a lot of good work for us here. It looks nice and clean, very crisp. Better than Ultra Performance has ever looked. And we're at 109 FPS. So if my theory holds, we're going to be able to go all the way up to 4x and actually have meaningful improvement since we're not out of VRAM. All right, so let's go up to 3x here. So that gives us a nice lift up to about 150 FPS. Latency is still around 48 milliseconds on our PCL, which is good to see. That's nice and playable. Everything's very one-to-one, very sharp, very snappy controls. So if we go up to 4x, again, it's insane to me that you can actually run out of 16 gigs of VRAM, but it's 2026 now, so what do we expect? All right, yeah, so right here, that gave you about 49 to 50 milliseconds, so a little tiny bit more latency, not too bad. We're about 56 now, so about 5 to 6 more milliseconds on your latency, but you get about 158 FPS here. So one more exploration I'd like to do is go ahead and come down here, kick the frame generation down to 2x, because I'm curious if this would be a viable way to play it at 4K, because we got a little bit more VRAM that we could use. So let's go to performance and let's go to 2x just to see what we can expect here. All right, so performance is a tad bit sharper, preset M, and that still gives you 82 FPS. Let's give it a little while for those 1% lows to catch up. It's a little bit choppy. I was going to say it's definitely not 45 FPS. So it looks like you're going to have to use ultra performance. I just wanted to kind of rule that out to see, because 38 FPS on your 1% load definitely gives you a choppy experience, despite the fact that it says 81 FPS there. So that's been pretty exhaustive. I mean, I think you kind of have a pretty good idea now what you can expect. Let's go up to one more thing I want to see. If I go to my texture pool size, I'm going to do a restart, so don't worry. And then come back down here and go to an upscale of ultra performance. All right, let me come down here and find it. Okay, ultra performance 2x with a texture pool that's a little bit higher. So our texture pool, I believe it's at high. Where is it? Yep, texture pool is at high. So I'm going to do this, do a restart, and I'll be right back. All right, so our texture pool is up to high now. We're still using 2x frame gen, and our preset is on L on ultra performance. This is going to give you the best experience as far as frame pacing goes. Your 1% lows are much better now. That extra, I'm telling you, that extra 10%, the extra 10 frames on your 1% lows makes the frame generation feel so much better than trying to just slap a big band-aid on it. It just feels way more smooth when your 1% lows aren't under like 40, 45 and trying to frame generate. So what I'm going to do now with that texture pool size set to high, let's see if we can do a little bit more. Let's go to ultra. And then very ultra and supreme. So let's go to ultra and just kind of leave everything the same. I just want to see when we start to run out of VRAM and try to max out our texture in this area. So I'm going to do a restart. I'll be right back. All right, so exploring a little bit more texture pool optimizations here. You can really see some of that flickering in there without ray reconstruction on, but that's just part of it. You either get flickeriness or blurriness. You have to pick right now. Hopefully we'll get an update. But yeah, we are at 106 FPS, 45 FPS on our 1% lows. Makes it feel a lot better when you frame generate to have something around 40 to 45 on your 1% lows. But right here, let's see, where's our frame generation is still doing pretty well for us. I don't think we need to use frame generation to up the frames at all. I think I would rather get more from our textures. So let's go up to very ultra here and then go back and see kind of where we can push our textures to without breaking everything. So I'm going to do a restart and I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I have found kind of the max you can go, because right here the allocated VRAM is 15.3. So our textures are using VRAM and our frame generation is using VRAM. So at this point you kind of have to pick which one you want. If we go up to Supreme Texture Pool, if I can get out of this water, if we go up to Supreme Texture Pool, we might have to then give up frame generation. I don't really know yet. I'll have to see. You're going to have to use preset L Ultra Performance for sure if you want path tracing. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more insight. So right now, VRAM, allocated VRAM is right at our limit. I mean, we are right there at like 15.3. Let's see what here's. Give us some warnings. Okay, nothing about VRAM. I just wanted to make sure. So let's go into our options and check out what potentially we need to do if we wanted to go all the way up on our texture pool and then come down here and turn off the frame generation. So I'm going to do a restart now and see where we are. Everything maxed out, texture pool, everything, and then explore where we start to lose frames on frame generation, because that texture pool is going to eat up a bunch of VRAM. All right, so I'm going to do a restart, be right back. All right, so it looks like giving up frame generation gave us back enough VRAM to not spill over whenever we went all the way up on our texture pool. That gives you about 60 FPS. So it might be better if you value, texture over anything else to just avoid frame gen, because with ultra performance, you're getting enough performance to not necessarily require frame generation. You're not going to have 60 all of the time, but you might be able to get away with a 2x frame gen. It might do something. It might actually, give you enough to get over 60. It probably won't run its full 2x level, but let's just check it out here. So that gives you about 100 FPS. So it seems like you have enough VRAM to do 2x with texture pool all the way to the max. at least in this area. So we are at the absolute limit of our VRAM and this card. However, ultra performance on L does give you a lot more options to run this title at straight 4K than it ever has. This would be very blurry on anything other than L. Of course, no ray reconstruction right now, but I think it's worth the trade-off if you can get this smooth of an experience at 4K. You know, on a title like this that's proven over and over to be extremely demanding with path tracing. So 110 FPS, that ain't bad at all. If I went up to 3X, it would probably not give you 3X. I believe we're going to hit our limit here soon. So I'm just going to double check everything. Yeah, we're going to have to go 3X there. All right, so let's go ahead and resume. Let's see if it gives us anything. So it's not giving you the full 3X. It should be much higher, but it's because you're just absolutely slamming against the VRAM wall here. So 142, 143 FPS here. You know, this is a different area than the Vatican, so it might perform slightly differently, which is normal. That's expected. That's why I like to do multiple scenes, multiple environments in these tests now. So let's go up to 4X. I mean, what the hell? Let's see what it does. You know, maybe in this area it would be a little... I don't think you need 4X, to be clear. I think this is like way more than you need to worry about. So 4X gave you a little bit more. As you can see, it's not going to completely run it all the way to the wall because you're just out of VRAM. I mean, allocating 15.7 and using 14.6, this is all the VRAM you got. You're out. So it can do it. I mean, you don't need this though. So I would probably run it at 2X. This is probably how I would play it. I'm just kind of like really jumping around here because I wanted to explore this card a lot on this particular title recently. So with that 2X frame gen, with your VRAM basically all the way spent, you are looking about... Let's see, 14.6. I need to probably do a restart to get this VRAM to drop what's storing in it right now. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so it looks like a restart really didn't change it too much. This seems to be like where you're at. The VRAM, the used VRAM got a small break, but yeah, I would probably just say 2X right here if you want to be over 60 all the time. But if you wanted to free up some VRAM and still run it at, you know, full Supreme settings and all that, you could just use ultra performance and no frame generation. If you don't really care about having 60 all the time, it'll be smooth enough though. Your 1% lows are decent. But 2X frame gen really, you know, I mean, you're using all the VRAM you've paid for, so you might as well use it. That gives you about 9600 FPS here, at least in this area, because you're only using 14.5. So it's not spilling, it's just grabbing every bit of VRAM this card has. All right, so I'm going to wrap up there. And then we will probably jump into another game here soon. I'm trying to catch up from the winter storm that just came through. I was kind of down for like 2 or 3 days. So if you like this kind of content, please jump down there and give me a like, subscribe if it feels right to you. If you're not new here, thanks for coming back and supporting me with you know, your time. It's valuable, so I appreciate you watching my videos. That is the best thing you can possibly do to keep this channel afloat, is to just watch as many of my videos for as long as you can, and that would be super, super appreciative. But yeah, I will wrap up here. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.